Wait, I don't need this anymore. Surprisingly, a lot better than I thought. Buckle down. So I just watched Tokyo Drift, and I have to say that movie gets a lot more crap than it deserves. It actually is a lot better than I thought. I admit when I first saw this movie, I actually only tuned into the last 10 minutes, so I saw that whole sacrilegious shit with the engine thing. There's no forgiveness for that. That's stupid. Because in the end, they never did that when they actually filmed the scene. It was just an actual Mustang engine, but that's besides the point. This film is actually really okay. Sure, the acting by Lucas Black isn't that great for a main character, and his accent's really annoying. And the ending is kind of stupid and pointless, but this film is actually really good. I like it actually right from the beginning. With the whole introduction of Lucas Black's character and how you just see this shitty school and just all these acts happening around him, he doesn't do anything about it. It shows that he's a good kid who just has a bad rep and has been punished for trying to do the right thing violently and just doesn't care anymore. When he goes to Tokyo, he just expects the same thing's going to happen again, but then he meets a girl, just like all the other ones. He is drawn into this world, and he tries to prove himself to not only to her, but to himself and to the whole racing community. So it's a kind of a little bit like the first one, but without all the undercover crap. Now, I'm going to say something pretty here, but if the ending of this film was better, if it wasn't as pointless and as well, you stupid, I would actually like this film better than the first one. Why? Because for the first film, as cool as the characters are, as cool as certain stuff is, there is the CG element, which kind of takes away from the experience, which Justin Lin in Tokyo Drift tries to get rid of entirely, which is awesome. Seeing those cars do those actual stunts was really cool. Sure, there's a little bit of CG here and there, but way less in comparison to the previous films. And the thing that I like is that the story actually matters, of course until the end, more in Tokyo Drift than it does in Fast and Furious. Because why would the LAPD set up a giant ring of guys just hijacking trucks, like 2 trucks? Panasonic TVs. Brian O'Connor was already into the underground racing ring. Why don't you have him shut that whole thing down instead of just these hijackers? So yeah, as much as I like the first one, there is that whole hijacking thing. I've always thought it was just really silly. But for Tokyo Drift, it's about a guy who's found something that he can actually try and turn his life around. He can put himself towards something that is positive, not only for himself, but to people around him. It's not a negative effect. And he finds this girl that he kind of likes, and he tries to take her out of that criminal element. And that's the other thing too. I like the villain in this movie. Why? Because he's actually a realistic person. He's friends with Han, who then betrays him, and he feels betrayed by a best friend. Not in the stupid, no man, you betrayed me kind of way, but in an emotional way, he was betrayed. Han was his friend, and then Han goes and does this dick thing and steals from him. He keeps on trying to impress this uncle of his, who is the big crime lord, who's always hard on him, who's always underappreciative of what he does. So he's always got that going for him. And then there's that scene between him and the girl. I'm not even going to bother to remember her name. That scene that's very intimidating, and you almost think he's going to go to rape, but it doesn't. He basically mind assaults her by saying, this is what I am. You have to accept what you are because we're just terrible people. And no matter what we do, like, we're going to be this way. That's the thing I like. He accepts he's a bad guy, but he hates the fact that he is. He's not a stereotype villain. Sure, it seems that he has his eyebrows locked up in this douche face the whole time, but other than that, he actually was one of my favorite villains of the Fast and Furious series. And I actually really like the car scenes. I like the stunt work. I like the direction by Justin Lin. I think Justin Lin does a really good job, and that's why he was hired for the next films. But then, as I said earlier, the ending for this film is pointless. There's no point to it. Why would the uncle accept Lucas Black's money and then say, okay, yeah, sure, race my nephew, and if he loses, he'll be kicked out of Japan? What is the point of that? One, you're getting rid of a nephew who is hard working for you and trading him for a kid who you're just going to let go free. Two, you're showing that you let your family members be disrespected by a white kid who just races? How on earth are you supposed to be this super badass mafia guy? That's the thing that doesn't make sense, is the uncle character is actually the weak part of the whole story. Because why would he be so hard on his nephew, yet be willing to let this white guy just race and defeat his nephew and destroy his whole reputation just because? So yeah, that part is a little bit pointless to me, and it kind of sucks considering how Han is actually a really decent character. I like him better in this movie than I do in the other films because he's a dick. He actually is a surprise. Sure, his reason for stealing is kind of pointless, but he's more than just the cool talking Asian dude. He actually has a point to the story. He teaches Lucas Black how to drive, but then at the same time, he also shows that as trustworthy as a person can appear, they always have a dark side. So that's probably a lot more philosophical than these films ever thought to try and be. So in the end, while I would love to give this movie a 5 out of 7, I can't because it's not better than the first film entirely just because of that stupid ending. So in the end, I'm going to give Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift a 4 out of 7. It's a decent film and it was really good despite what people say about it, but it suffers from a shitty ending. And so for the ranking of it, I'm going to put it just underneath Fast and Furious 1, and 2 can stay at the bottom of hell for all eternity. Anyway guys, so just use the other camera because my other camera ran out of batteries. I have been watching these movies all day and I'm about to watch the fourth one, so we'll see how that one goes. Anyway, see you guys later.